Joe, the news was announced this morning. Eric Singleton, the Georgia Tech wide receiver, the number one portal wide receiver, has committed to Auburn. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is them losing Keandre Lambert-Smith, who had a really nice finish to the year. And now having Jackson Arnold, who we're a little iffy on what he's going to do, if he's going to be able to step up and play well within the scheme. And I shared some of my doubts and questions. But to contribute and add in more playmakers, like a guy like Eric Singleton, who had a quarterback in Haynes King, who not a true passer, was a really good runner, but would find him in space from time to time and was still able to produce. I think that Singleton has the potential to be a top 5 receiver in the SEC this upcoming year. In an offense that knows how to find playmakers. And if Jackson Arnold can take that step forward in a new scheme and in a new situation, it's all 100% on the table. Auburn, to me, I think is going to ultimately be, like we talked about coming into this season, the biggest wild card. Eliminating turnovers is going to be our heavy talking point. If Jackson Arnold throws picks and Eric Singleton's playing his ass off, it kind of doesn't, those things don't cancel each other out.
Here's the thing with Auburn that I will continue to throw your way. Their talent is not indicative of what their record showed.
Mm-hmm.
Hot take. I think Auburn can be a damn good football team going into 2025. Joe, they've recruited well. I do think that they're developing well. But I look at Auburn as an example. You go and get Chaplin from Virginia Tech, the offensive tackle. You bring in Fields. You bring in Singleton. You bring in Mason Murphy, the offensive tackle from USC. You went and got Strader, the cornerback. And let me just say this. Listen to me now. Listen to me. I'm serious. Rayon Strader is the biggest slept-on pickup in the country. The DB out of Ohio State. He's got a 6'8" wingspan, and I know I'm going to get to Singleton, but just stay with me. He's got a 6'8" wingspan. Think about this. In 2 years, he had 100 tackles at corner. He had 30-plus PBUs. 30. I can make the argument that Auburn has stacked themselves in the portal now. Okay, with the Eric Singleton pickup, the number one portal pickup in the country was him right now at wide receiver. Who's going to get him the football?
Right.
Who's going to get him the football?
Arnold.
What about Daniels? Are you 1,000% sure that the Daniels, the kid from Stanford, can't come in here and beat him out? I mean, I don't know.
Probably not.
Joe, Jackson Arnold has been bad, and you know that, and I know that. Now, Arnold can blossom, and I think he's more built for what Hugh wants to do in the RPO game. The truth about Auburn and a guy like Singleton, I do think Jackson Arnold or Daniels or Deuce can get him the football. Hot take. They are a much better football team than anybody wants to give them credit for. They could not eliminate turnovers. And Joe, what happened when they did? What happened when they eliminated turnovers?
In one game.
They beat the dog shit out of A&M, a very physical football team. We got a long way to go. A long way to go to the beginning of 2025. I think Auburn can be one of those teams, even with their schedule. They can be one of those teams that surprise people, and Singleton as a whole. And then let me get back to him. Dude, go watch any Georgia Tech game this year. Look what he did against Georgia. Look what he does against these teams. He is a special young man. He's a freak of nature. But I cannot talk about Auburn at the current moment and not look at what they've done everywhere else. Joe, it's only a matter of time. I'm telling you, they've recruited too well. It's only a matter of time before Auburn starts doing some really damn good things.
I don't disagree with that, but and the craziest part about all this, their success literally lives off of Jackson Arnold improving as a decision maker. And it goes in with what you just said, that the turnovers were what killed them from a completely different quarterback.
Joe, if they don't turn over the ball against Alabama, they win. They do that against Georgia.
Yes.
They could win.
They would have had a much better record. And it's, a lot of people love to point out the ifs, ands, and buts and all that crap. Oklahoma's another game too that they could have won. Right. But turnovers and making better decisions is a very visible and tangible thing that very obviously killed them. Jackson Arnold's biggest issue and why he didn't work outside of him not having anybody really blocking for him and any receivers to throw to, which is a huge, uphill battle. He still was turnover prone. Does a better situation with better receivers and a better offensive line, and a better scheme, does that help eliminate the turnovers? If he eliminates the turnovers and he goes from what he threw to a let's say he goes sub 10. If he goes sub 10 interceptions, I think that this is potentially a 9-win football team next year.
He's maybe better. Go lower than that. He's going to have to be below 7. But to your point, think of that wide receiver room for a minute. Let me ask you a hot take. Is Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman one of the best duos in the SEC next year?
Depends on where Zachariah Branch goes.
Okay.
As of right now, yes.
Take Zachariah Branch out of him for a moment. I can make the argument with Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, they're one of the top wide receiver corps in the country, not just the SEC.
It only depends on what happens with Texas and who declares, but I would agree with that statement.
Well, I mean, what are they, top 3, top 4? I mean, LSU got Barian Brown, Aaron Anderson, and Nick Anderson. I mean,
they're at least top 3. I would say that they're at least top 3.
They're pushing upon that. The question is, can somebody get them the football? Is the ultimate thing. All right.
BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.